Sean Cranish, the EMF Explorer from electrohealth.com and the International Electromagnetic Health Association. Here I quickly want to show you what I did with my meter box. This is an old-fashioned analog electric utility meter, or watt-hour meter, and this is the kind we want. It's simply mechanical. There's no electronics or circuitry in it. It's got the disc that spins around, the dials. They've been out for decades and decades. They work reliably. They don't explode or cause fires, at least not from our searching on the internet. If you search for smart meter or electronic meter fire, you'll find many pictures of melted and exploded smart meters, but I haven't seen any pictures of melted or exploded analog meters. So these are the old-fashioned safe kind. The reason I want to show you my box here is that I've locked it, and I locked it simply with a locking clasp that you can get at the hardware store, so I didn't have to buy anything special or mail order anything. And right now I just have standard padlocks, so this one's pretty heavy duty, and I put 3 on here just for fun. The other option is, rather than these types of locks, you can get the kind of hockey puck looking, called the hidden shackle locks, and those are round, like the shape of a hockey puck, and they would go over the ring here, making it impossible to cut. These would be pretty tough to cut, but the point here that you really want to take home is that this box is yours. This meter box, the socket box that the electric meter goes into, is yours. So that's your property. You can do with it as you please. The meter itself belongs to the utility company, and they do need to get access to it if they need to, but they can always arrange that by appointment with the homeowner. So the box is yours. Anything you do to it, if you build, if you put wood around it, if you put a locking clasp like this on it, anything you do to that box is your property. So if anybody comes and destroys any of your property, that is vandalism. That's a crime. So and you can prosecute for that. So even if they cut your locks, that's vandalism. If they try to take this off, that's vandalism. Now I've made it so it's pretty tough here to get it off. In a second here I'm going to undo these locks and show you how I did that. But this is a quick way you can lock your box. I recommend it just because if they're putting smart meters in your area, you never know, even if you've opted out or told them you don't want it, they're still likely to come and put one on anyways. So locking it is the 100% safe way to make sure they're not going to get one of those meters on there. And we really do not want the smart meters because, well, primarily the health and safety concerns. The health concerns, which would be the dirty electricity, those are the high frequencies that they generate and put on the line, and also the radio frequency radiation. That's the wireless signal that's transmitted through the air. These have caused many people health problems. I mean, we take phone calls almost on a daily basis from people who are complaining about smart meters. The smart meters are by far, with not even a close second, they are the #1 complaint that we receive from people. So they are a serious issue. They cause many people health problems, and it's usually a similar story every time, where the health problems began at the same time the meter was put on. The homeowner didn't even know that the meter was put on. They got sick. They were sick sometimes months or years before figuring out that it's the smart meter causing it. And then they look back in the records and see when the meter was put on, and it was the same time when their symptoms started. So we hear that all the time, and there's no doubt that smart meters cause problems. So we want to keep these old-fashioned analog electric meters on, and if you have a smart meter, it's best if you get it off. The other reason why you want those things off is because they are a huge privacy concern. Smart meters record on a sometimes a second-to-second basis what's going on, and then they transmit that information. So they record the what's going on with the electrical signal in your house, And the companies that make these meters and the electric utility companies have paid to have different types of electrical loads, as the signature that those loads create, analyzed so that they can know if you're doing laundry, if you're running a light, if you're watching TV, what types of things you're actually doing in the house. And this information, of course, can be sold to marketing companies. The government can snoop in on it, of course. There's already been instances of that with smart meters. So, yeah, all around, I mean, it's the equivalent. This type of meter here, the analog meter, shows them how much electricity you use in a month, and they charge you for it. It's just like getting gas for your car. So you take your car in, you fill it up with gas. The new electric meters, they're not just charging you for how much you use per month. They're now able to see what you're doing with it. That was the missing information, how their product, the electricity, is being used. That's what they wanted to discover, and then of course use that to make more money. So it would be like taking your car to get gas put in, and the gas station knowing where you've been, how many stops you've made, how fast you've traveled, if you've had passengers in the car, things like that. Information that they don't need to know, that you don't want people to know, you don't want going into computers and being saved in databases for eternity. You want to maintain your privacy in the house. You want a reliable, safe meter that's not going to blow up, that's not going to stop working because of a couple spikes or lightning hit nearby and the electronics are fried, so now it's not working any longer. You want an old trusty meter like this that just works. So next I'll take these locks off, show you how I attach to the locking clasp here, whatever you want to call this thing, and then maybe you can do the same for yours. Okay, we're back. The locks are off. So you can see this thing's made by Master Lock. Pretty cool how it's designed. It worked out pretty well for this type of installation. Okay, it's a little bit of a tight fit there, but here is the actual hoop that the lock goes through. I put in 4 screws or 4 bolts, and I believe on all of these there are nuts on the other side, so they're actually machine type. I'll open it up to make sure. I know I used a few like sheet metal screws, but then I also used machine screws and nuts actually for extra strength. So here I have 5 holding it. So to get that off, it would take a lot of work, and someone would have to come out here with a real cutting tool to cut this thing off, and at that point they'd be committing vandalism, and I would come out and intervene and protect my property at that point from the vandals, and I'd also call the police if that were happening. So alright, so I'll take this off. Now the thing to remember about these is that the electricity is live. There's 240 volts, 120 volts, and both. If you touch any of the contacts inside, you can receive a fatal shock. It's very life-threatening. It's not a joke. It's very, very serious. So you do not want to touch anything inside these boxes. You need to be completely careful. So this comes off, and then it slides out. Okay, so you can see the contacts, the 4. There's 2 at the top. That's the line coming in from the pole. Mine is overhead, so that comes in overhead, not underground. Not that it matters either way, but... And then these are the lines going into the house here that provides the electricity for the home. So, and then there's just a ground there at the bottom. Okay, so you can see on the other side, got some machine screws, some nuts, pretty snug. I just drilled holes through the metal just with a regular drill, and then as I put these in, I didn't take the meter out when I did it. I left the meter in place, so even these bottom connectors here were live at the time, and I was just really careful to work around them and get nowhere near them. And just like these other connectors, the contacts that are hooked up to the utility company's wiring, those are going to be live all the time, even if you take the meter out. So this box, this utility meter box, is live all the time unless you call your power company and tell them to disconnect the service that you have to work on the box. Now you don't have to do that, but that's your judgment call. So you are responsible for your own activities and your own safety here. We do not recommend doing this, or and we're certainly not saying it's safe to do. Anyone doing this sort of thing would want to be extremely careful, as I was. But so basically I put that in there, and then on the cover you can see I just drilled those 5 holes here. That's the cover. And okay, so here there's a few sheet metal screws, and then a couple machine screws with nuts, double nuts, and that's enough to keep this thing in place and make it a real pain for someone to take it off, and make it likely that I'm going to catch them taking it off if they do. And even if I don't catch them in the act, I will still call the police and go that route with finding out who the vandals were and then holding them accountable for their actions, because this is my private property and I won't stand for anybody vandalizing it in any way. And that's the stance you should take as well. Protect your private property rights. So once that's back on, you can see it's a little snug. I have to kind of push, and I left this a little bit loose on purpose, just a tiny bit, so it would be enough to, normally I do this with 2 hands. Let me try the other hand here. Whoops. Okay. There we go. So that clips back on. Take your locks. This is a combo lock, so scramble that combination up a little bit there. And I'll put that back. Okay, maybe I had to leave the combination in place to shut that one. Well, anyways. Okay, now I can scramble this one. It's harder to do with one hand. There we go. So, it's just a key lock. So a few locks like that. There are some other options on how you can lock it. Some people have used chains, some people have used like hardened, I saw someone selling some like angle iron brackets that were pretty cool, pretty slick. It just depends on your setup. Like my box is kind of away from the wall here. You could do chains, you could do a number of things. I guess the big thing is that no matter what you do, test it out. So okay, so this is locked back up. Okay, I know they can't get it open. They'd have to cut this lock to get it open. And then these, they'd have to cut these locks. I could put the hockey puck style one on there, maybe for a little extra security. But I know as long as this is locked, you know, they can pry at it a little bit. Let's see. Even if this lock is out of place, you know, they can't actually get this cover off. They can pry the other side away, but they're not going to be able to, you can see that, they can pry that away a little bit, but they're not going to be able to actually, here I'm going to do this, hopefully not bend it too much, but they're not going to be able to get the meter in there. So test, no matter what you do, test it out and just make sure that it works, that it can't be circumvented too easily. And yeah, that's what I'd recommend to do to lock your box. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video, and check out our other videos. And if you appreciate what we're doing, join the International Electromagnetic Health Association, and that helps us push forward our efforts to protect privacy and health, mainly health, but privacy with the smart meters is another big one. And I think the smart meters are one of the most important battles we have going on right now with electromagnetic health, because it really affects people. Alright, thank you for watching.